So the thing you probably know me from best is I was one of the writers of Rogue One, a Star Wars story. I'm also known as the writer of The Book of Eli, starring Denzel Washington. So I've worked on Halo, I've worked on Gears of War, and I've also written books and comics for DC and Marvel and all kinds of cool stuff. Hi, I'm Gary Whitta, and this is Made with Blade. I got started as a video game nerd. I was a game geek back in the 1980s, and my big dream was to be a video game journalist, a game reviewer. Worked in the UK games industry for several years as a writer and editor on magazines like Commodore User and PC Gamer. After a pretty fun career as a video game journalist, I was able to segue into my other kind of dream profession, which was as a screenwriter for film and television, and I've been doing that now for about 20 years.
My name's Shannon Woodward. I'm an actor. In the gaming world, people probably know me as Dina from The Last of Us Part 2, and I performed the novel Gundog by Gary Whitta.
I'm Austin Wintory, and I'm a composer. I was always passionate about games. In fact, I've been a gamer longer than I've been a musician. My memories in games go back to like age 0. But I also knew I wanted to do movies, I wanted to do TV, I wanted to do whatever other weird things came along, audiobooks. Right around the time I moved here, by dumb luck, the freelance composer thing started to intersect with video games. And then by further dumb luck, I happened to get some opportunities almost immediately, and I've kind of never looked back.
So Gundog is a kind of fairly contemporary, grounded, hopefully somewhat realistic piece of post-apocalyptic science fiction. It's set a couple of decades after an alien invasion. The idea was, aside from writing it as a novel, which I've also done, was to produce my own audiobook adaptation of it. Because I work in Hollywood, I'm fortunate enough to know actors and composers and other people that could help me put a narrative audio project together.
You know, at the beginning of the pandemic, everything was really shut down. I was bored. I play a lot of video games, so I started streaming. And Gary and I became friends through Twitch and mutual friends that way. One day he was like, "Can I call you?" And I was like, "Sure." And he was like, "I have this idea for a novel that I wrote that I haven't published, that, you know, what if it was performed and we released it as live episodes on Twitch?"
I sent her a small part of the script to read just to, to see how it would work, and I expect maybe she'd get around to it in a few weeks. She sent me something back like the next day. So like, not only was she really keen to do it, but like as soon as I heard it, I was like, yeah, this is it. Like, I don't need to look for anyone else, because she absolutely nailed it.
But impossibly distant by our own.
Gary Whitta and I have been friends for years, and one day he started telling me about this project he was doing and the kind of unique format he wanted to present it with. It's a Twitch broadcast, so the idea that we came up with was, well, what if the music kind of plays like an overture to welcome the audience to a stream?
I originally imagined he might do like a couple of minutes of music just as like bookends, but he ended up writing like these entire symphonic overtures. He basically wrote a full cinematic soundtrack.
Since it's not an audio drama that I'm scoring underneath while she's reading, I tee up the scene, describe it musically, and then Shannon takes it from there, and then I'll come in at the very end with a little kind of outro stinger.
You know, I actually read the entire thing cold, so I didn't read it before I performed it. I performed it live. As the character was surprised, I was surprised. Like, you know, there are some things that I would start and be like, oh, that was not correct, and I'll go back and fix it. But generally, it was a reveal to me as well, which was kind of fun. It was a fun way to approach it.
In trying to put together an audio production, where typically that would involve going out to professional studios and a lot of people being in the same room together, we had to get a little bit more creative, and this is one of the great benefits of now being able to put together a professional sounding production with the same kind of consumer tools and hardware that you would have at home.
I got drafted into the act of recording engineer and sort of audio producer. The whole project has this kind of family homebrew sort of aspect to it, where it was just the pandemic hit, we were all kind of stuck, not really able to do our normal work, or at least severely limited.
Some was recorded at Shannon's home, some was recorded at Austin's studio.
And we started using the Blade laptop, and I kind of built a makeshift studio in my house with some panels, reading Gary's book live, kind of operating myself like, oh, that was bad, and go back and erase it, and then start again. And
Razor Blade came in very handy because I could just literally throw a mic on her and not have to worry about trying to get all my gear up and running and get all the kind of outboard equipment, because our needs were simple, but we still needed it to be high quality. The other thing, just as an audio snob, it's really nice to be able to work on a laptop that's not freaking loud. There's so many that once you do anything remotely interesting, the fans all start going crazy. And this one actually, I found I could actually use viably in a quiet environment, which is kind of essential when you're recording audio.
I'm really excited for people to check out Gundog. I think listening to something like this live on Twitch with a chat with the audience is something that I would love to do. I hope people enjoy watching and listening as much as we did recording it.
It was really, really cathartic to have something to work on that was kind of amongst friends and really cool in a time that felt very uncertain and very unsafe. And so I hope that even a little bit of that catharsis comes through for folks who check it out, and that it can be fun for them too.
So this is all really a big experiment. I have no idea how this is going to go. What I think is interesting about it is that no one's ever done anything quite like this before. No one's published an audio book the way that I'm doing it, which is to chop it up into serialized pieces and basically broadcast it live. And then there's some moments in this story that I think people will find genuinely surprising and genuinely shocking. Some of the favorite twists that I've ever written into any story are in Gundog, and I'm looking forward to seeing how people react to them.